When my mother died 6 years ago, I mean, it was a very strong a time for me because she was present all the time in my life as a strong woman and with definite good ideas. And when she died, she belongs, at that time she belongs to a Jewish organization. After the war, you know, the Jewish people in Europe made society type of organization for people from the war to get together. And she belonged to that society for many, many years. And then the director, when she died, called me and he said, you know, Jean-Claude, you should do Kaddish for your mother because she was a good woman and we all love her and I think you should do that. So I went to the synagogue in Place des Vosges in Paris, in a very tiny synagogue, but very nice. And I discovered a new world there, the world of the people that escaped the war, the survivor of the Holocaust. So there I was there, you know, and doing Kaddish with all those people. And I started to draw strongly, you know, drawings of what I saw, the way they are, people, real people. And then I realized that I should do painting again, should paint. And I started to paint and drawing and paint. And then I came across a lot of work and I decided to quit advertising and really do only paintings and especially the Jewish people. And that's the way it happens. I would say that I have no problem about finding subject. Which sometimes finding subject for a painter, it's quite difficult. But luckily, I don't have this problem. But the problem that I have is like a new painting is always a new process. It's a birth. And it doesn't happen just like that in front of the canvas. So I have to think about it. I have to draw. I have to do experiment. And sometime, and that happened a lot. So I can't sleep. I can't sleep because I have to figure out how I'm going to do it. And especially it's during the night that I mature the painting. So I paint without painting. I'm not sleeping, but I'm unconscious, and the painting has her own life, because the painting has its own life, and you have to push the life of the painting. I styled the subject by really looking, observing, and doing a lot of photography also, because I feel a very strong tie with photography. Photography is a very big part of the work, because it's my way of drawings without drawings, and I draw and I take photos, so I combine both of them. Well, the progression is done with what I see every day, with what I see in the newspaper, with what I see in the streets. And in the streets, I always have a little camera to catch up, you know, moment of life, moment of people getting together. And that's where it's come from. And then I do sketches. I look at the photo and I say, okay, I'm going to take these little people and I'm going to take this one in another photo, and then I'm going to put them together, and then I'm trying to build the image, the subject. And then I do sketches from everything, and then it happens on the canvas. And then that's it. It happens. Because I'm very unsatisfied with one style. I feel always that I can do better, differently. And I'm always searching for the right way, which sometimes is very hard to catch because it's not the right way. I mean, there's always different ways of doing things, and I want to explore different ways of doing it. The decision to come to work in New York was made by a show that I was proposed to do by Yeshiva University. They wanted me to do a show, so I decided to do the show, and after the show I decided to stay. I was close to a synagogue that was empty in Brooklyn, always closed. And one day I stayed there, and I saw the door open, and I went in, and I met a man, and I started talking to him. And he asked me, what do you do? So I told him I was a painter, and he says, okay, you're a painter, good, that's very good. But he said, what kind of painting you do? I say, I paint the Hasidic Jew in Brooklyn. I said, that's interesting. And then he says, if you're interested, I can tell you where some events, happen, and then you can go and, do the photo, what you want to do. When, I photograph or I design the Hasidic Jew, I know that they don't like it. I'm not supposed to do it. But as a painter, I feel I have all the rights to do whatever I want for the painting. So that's why I'm doing it. And I tell them it has to be done that way. And they agree, anyway, they agree. In Paris, the Hasidic Jew, you don't see them that often because, first of all, there's a small number of them and they are in one neighborhood and you don't see them that much. Whereas in New York, it's really, really different because they're there, they're in the streets and they walk with the kids and they're more active. And they represent a very strong community. It's true that Brooklyn for me is a little bit of a shtetl. When I was in hiding, my mother was in Paris, hiding herself, trying to live a normal life, but always aware that she could be deported by the Nazi because they were looking for people, for Jewish people, all over the place in Paris. But she made sure that the kids were not there. She was with my sister. My sister was a baby at that time. And so she stayed in Paris and she moved back. After that, she moved to the free zone. It was a little bit tough when I was a kid to be a Jew in France, really, because, especially in school, because you were different. When I paint, it's my childhood. It's all those years that I missed as a painter. I missed, the loneliness of a painter in front of his canvas with the idea that he has in head and the production and all that. So and every day that I paint, it's the child that in me that's doing the little drawing like I was doing as a boy. I might develop the rest of my life doing Hasidic Jew, and it's an interesting question because people in Europe, especially in Paris, France, they ask me, a lot of people ask me, are you going to stay with the subject? Because they can't imagine a painter doing Hasidic Jew. It's true that Chagall was a Jewish painter, but he didn't do only Jewish people, but his paintings were very Jewish, very, very Jewish. And maybe it's my own way to be a little bit like Chagall, to be a Jewish painter, because my ambition, it's not an ambition, but it's the fact that I'm a Jewish painter with a Jewish feeling, with a Jewish sensation to touch things and feel them. And the Hasidic Jew is a good subject for me to express that. By observing those people, I had an evolution in painting by observing them. It's been feeding every day, my paintings. Think, okay, I should do this, I should do this, I should do this. So there's no end to it. So there's a great inspiration there. The image has its own authority, and the image is definitely in my mind, and it has to happen. But the trick is how it's going to happen. In what kind of colors, placement, composition, and all the technique of the paintings. So it takes a lot of work. Now in my painting sometimes there's a sadness, and that sadness I cannot get away from it because it's in me. And you know, I come from the Holocaust and it's there, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I'm going to carry this all my life. So and there's a sadness in my painting, and I recognize that. And sometimes I'm trying to mask it with colors. So the sadness in colors. So it's a nice way to avoid the sadness. Yes, I'm never content with one style, so I have to find different way of expressing the subject. As a painter, I feel that I steal whatever I see for the painting, because the paintings has all the rights to exist, and no matter what, because it's a representation of life, because without life there's no art. The subject will evolve. I think the subject will evolve, and maybe one day I'll be an abstract painter. Who knows? But right now I'm trying to evolve, to push it further and further on the human level. And the human level will decide exactly where I will go later on. So I know I'm on a road, and there'll be other roads, and I'll take them, but always with the development of my paintings. You know, always with a development, with a research, with new way of doing it.